Hello and welcome to the OKPreps Extra Show. I'm Patrick Prince, joined as always by my good friend Barry Lewis, here to talk a little high school football. Barry, let's just jump right in. We're only 3 weeks in, and while not everybody has played 3 games, let's talk about a few teams that maybe so far are a little better than you thought. Once you kick it off, let's kick it off with one of the smaller schools, Holland Hall. You think they're a little better than we thought? Explain yourself.
Yes, I thought Holland Hall was going to be good just because Holland Hall usually is good. And they had a deceptive season last year. Their record wasn't really glossy, but they kept getting better in their first year under coach Brian Thompson. I think a lot of those lessons last year have paid off this year. And they won a playoff game last year and started coming on at the end of the season. So thought they would be good, but I think they're even better, quite a bit better than I thought they were. They convinced me when they in the opening game of the season against Cassia Hall, and their Holland Hall's defense was just amazing that night. I think they've got the formula that really works well in the long run, especially when you get into the playoffs. They can run the ball, don't turn it over, and they've got a really good defense. So while I'm not picking them to win the state championship at 3A because Lincoln Christian is a juggernaut, I think Holland Hall can at least get to the Final Four, so they are better than I thought they were going to be.
And also, Jinx is on your list. Now, as I'm sure you'll explain, we knew Jinx would be good, but they're maybe a little better than we thought.
Yes, and that's got me all fired up for the Jinx Bixby game, or Bixby at Jinx game next week, a week from Friday, could be the regular season game of the year. Thought, of course, Bixby going into the year was the favorite. Thought then you had Owasso and Jenks, and that's probably still the way it is. Although now it's you'd probably rank them Jenks Owasso because Jenks did beat Owasso, and I think Jenks is the only question mark with Jenks is because they've got Division 1 quality players all over the field. The only question mark was at quarterback, and question's been answered. Landon Kazar has been one of the best quarterbacks over the first 3 weeks of the season. Junior had not gotten a varsity start before this year. He's been everything that you'd want from a quarterback, and he's been really good. And of course, it does help when you've got Katie Jones in the backfield with you, best running back in the state, and then you've got some dynamite receivers, especially Caleb Dillard, who's
Yeah.
really been breaking out as a receiver as well as a defensive back, and who's made it into our all-world top 10 rankings. So Jenks is a little bit better than I thought they would. I thought there was a somewhat of a gap between Bixby and Jenks, and maybe there is. We'll find out a week from Friday. But right now, I think Jenks and Bixby, they're pretty even.
Now, does remind me, Barry, does Jinx have two new coordinators or just one?
Jenks has just one because they were going to have two new coordinators, but Jenks just has one because Adam Gaylor, their head coach, who was the defensive coordinator last year, well, had to take over the defense again this year when Jaquez Washington left to become Midwest City's head coach.
That's right.
So Adam Gaylor is both the head coach and defensive coordinator. So that just leaves one new coordinator, the offensive coordinator,
Okay.
Chronister.
And I sometimes forget that it's Coach Gaylor's first year as a head coach. I need to remind myself this is his first year. What kind of things have you seen from him?
Just everything you'd want to see from a head coach. Of course, it was an easy transition because he's been there as the defensive coordinator, and just like it was an easy transition, I think when Keith Riggs stepped in to succeed Alan Trimble in 2018, I think it's been a similar easy transition for Adam Gaylor um, at Jenks. So yeah, it just seems like he's been there a while, and just because it's been such a smooth fit.
Yeah, true. Okay, we'll stay in 6A1. You think Broken Arrow is maybe a little better than we thought. Explain.
A little better. I had high hopes for Broken Arrow coming into the season. I thought they would be better because I thought they were trending up at the end of last year under Josh Blankenship. And then when they made the coaching change, thought, of course, Travis Hill has won wherever he's been. I thought, and with the addition of some new players, especially in the secondary, um, that that would bump them up even more. And so far, they've been pretty impressive. I thought they'd be improved. They're even more improved than I thought they would be. They're like one play away from being 3-0. So even though last week they were playing a Mustang team without its phenom quarterback, Jaden O'Neal, the Florida State commit. Still, that's an impressive win. So at Broken Arrow at 2-1, they've been a little bit better than I thought they would be.
All right, let's talk the other side of the coin. Let's talk about a couple teams who maybe aren't as good as we thought. Let's start with Union.
Yes, the perennial power Union, um, 0-3. They play a tough schedule, so it's not like a total surprise. But I didn't think they would have been defeated by 4 touchdowns by Stillwater. I guess that's one that shocked me most. I mean, did lose to Stillwater last year, so it's not a surprise they're on 3. It's just how they've looked going 0-3 this year. And again, being down 34-0 against Jenks last week at
Mhm.
halftime. Although kudos to Union, as I wrote in my game story, they came back and they could have easily been like OSU at Oregon, losing 69-3. The game was trending that way. Instead, Union showed a lot of character and they competed really well in the second half. And that shows you they've got some character, got some resilience, and better days should be ahead for this Union team this year. But yeah, I thought they might be 0-3, but not have lost by the margins they've lost by.
And what about
And
go ahead. You're going to say something?
yeah, and another team with a new coach to them, just like Graham's a new coach to Union. And again, there is also want to point out there is that bit of a transition time when you bring in a coach from outside.
Sure.
Uh, Even though they're a great coach, there is that transition time. And Dale Condit at Muskogee going through the same thing after 20 great years at Wagner. Muskogee got hit hard by graduation. I thought Muskogee, again, it's not a surprise they're 0-3. It's just a surprise by the scores. Because last year they could have easily lost a couple with a loaded team, could have easily lost a couple of those first 3 games if it wasn't for the heroics of Bird Ficklin. Um, so that's what is a little concerning at Muskogee. However, as in the case of Union, you've got great coaches, have full confidence that their coaches will get things figured out. And as far as talent, the cupboard is not bare at either of those spots. So I think when district play starts, I see both those teams getting in the playoffs. They'll be okay in the long run. And I think a common denominator for both those teams is an unsettled quarterback situation. You've got a couple of good candidates, but um, don't don't really no one has really stepped forward and just said, yeah, it's and taken the job per se. Although Skylar Mormon looked like in the second half last week against Jenks, like he may have taken that step for Union because once he got the Union offense did find a little rhythm late in the game. So it'll be interesting to see if that translates over into its district opener next week, not this week, but next week.
All right. Where are you going to be Friday night?
I'm going to be at Bixby as the Spartans host Choctaw, a rare matchup of defending 6A state champions.
How do you see that one? Choctaw got a chance, or is Bixby going to do what Bixby does?
Bixby's going to do what Bixby does. Although history shows that maybe Choctaw can give Bixby a game if anyone can, well, besides Jenks, can give Bixby a game because in 2020, Choctaw, which was the last time Choctaw played at Bixby, back when Bixby was in 6A too, Choctaw gave them a good game, only lost by 11, and then there was a 3-point game in the championship game. Last year, 55-27, Bixby won at Choctaw. That wasn't too bad an outing for Choctaw, though Bixby totally dominated. Maybe it'll be that way again. And if it's only 55-27, that's probably a decent showing for Choctaw.
All right. You can look for Barry's coverage of that game Friday night on TulsaWorld.com and also in the paper on Saturday, along with the rest of our high school coverage that we normally do. We hope you'll check it out. Thanks for watching. Barry and I'll be back next week.